everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here. And of course, I'm joined as always with my co hosts, Darian Smith and Jimmy Marion. And guys, we've got an exciting episode for you today. A lot has happened really within the last few days within the UAB football world. Um, but first and foremost, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can subscribe to us at BlazerPod. And for those listening on the audio side, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, there's going to be a link in the show notes. So just click on that and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we are going to preview this Tulane game coming up this Saturday. But before we do, we just wanted to kind of react to Trent Dilfer's presser statement. I asked him Monday morning if just a question, an open-ended question, if he wanted to further clarify his post-game presser response after the Navy game. That he said it's not freaking Alabama. I don't have any regrets on him asking him that question. In fact, after the presser, I was just telling him that, hey, I was just wanting to give you an opportunity to address it or just say what you meant. It was clear that in the presser, he was very quick just to ask me, was I in the room, the post-game presser? I kind of regret my answer there. I was a quick no, but I'm here today kind of a thing. Just heat of the moment. But I was in the stands with my kids and my wife and my dad. So yes, I was at the game, but I couldn't go to the press room because normally they don't allow kids in the presser room. So unfortunately, if I'm in the stands attending as a fan and supporting this program, I'm unable to go in the press room. And I understood that. We've had conversations before this season and in the past, and I respect that, if you're going to be a media member at a game, you have to sit in the press box. You can't go from stands to press box to presser room and vice versa. And I understood that. But I do want to let everybody know that I was in the stands. I was in Protective Stadium. However, I had both of my kids and my wife and my dad with me. So that is the reason why I was not in the post-game presser. I get Trent's I get why he was upset. And the people saying that, his grandkid crying and wanting to go up to with his granddad up to the front, that was zero. Most people have zero problem with that. If I was in the press room, I wouldn't have had any issue with that. He just wanted to see his granddad, and Trent wanted to see his grandson. That is no problem at all. However, the comment is that he said that it's not freaking Alabama. There's just two of them in there anyway, which there were only two reporters in that post-game presser. So I get why he was upset. However, to a lot of UAB fans, when the Alabama name is thrown around, especially given this program's history 10 years ago and before then, I was just asking a question. I just wanted him to clarify, and my after he said, "Were you there?" And I said no. And then he reiterated his comment. He doubled down. I just wanted to ask, are you aware of this program's history? That wasn't an insult. I just want everybody to know that was not an insult. The reason why I asked that in the presser was because in his introductory press conference, when he was first named UAB football head coach, somebody in the room asked Trent Dilfer if he was aware of the program's history, and he said then he was not. So that wasn't a shot at Trent. I was just further clarifying or trying to get clarification. And it is what it is. Trent is entitled to his opinion and how he feels about the situation. But for national media, I do see people First of all, I should have led with this. This was not clickbait. This was not me having an agenda. I was going into that press conference hopeful that in Trent Dilfer's opening statement that he was going to talk about it. He did not. A couple reporters before me, if they would have asked it, I wouldn't have asked. But when it came to me, I just was trying to throw him a bone and say, hey, can you just give us for UAB fans that are upset or could be upset, could you just give further clarification? And the answer, if you haven't seen the press conference, I would strongly recommend not just viewing the clip that went viral, but watching the whole press conference Monday. It's on the UAB Athletics YouTube channel. I would encourage you to watch the whole thing and take what you will. But Jimmy or Darian, I don't know if one of you want to further explain why UAB fans might be feeling some type of way about that comment.
Yeah, it's just the history. It's not even the fact that it's just Alabama. Like I said, I put it out there on Twitter. I just wanted to be done with because I hate drama. But like when I played here, there was students and faculty wearing Alabama Auburn gear all around. It's only because of sense of pride in UAB that this program is still here. In those moments, what I took from that is I learned to cherish those fans that would always support, those that always, instead of worrying about what we didn't have, and which we didn't have a lot of support from even our own administration, which is the Alabama Board of Trustees that's heavily linked to Alabama. That's why it's a lot of, kind of dislike there, because we feel kind of in a, I guess, oppressed in a way, in a collegiate football way. But yeah, so I learned to cherish those that we have. So that's why the comment of it's only 2 reporters here. Well, the same program, it got shut down. Those same fans, those same proud fans were the ones that got this program brought back. It was Coach Bill Clark that was here, and he proved that if you're aligned, if the vision is aligned from top down with the fans, that you can win here and compete here year in and year out. It takes everybody, and the fans are important. Fans are important. You need that. So you can't be dismissive of the history, right? But Bill Clark actually embellished, like, he represents that because he stuck around. He didn't take another job. He stuck around, and he was out there marching and going and posting stickers, and he was a part of the community, right? And we won all together. So you got all these slogans like "Win as one," and that's where all that stuff come from. So yes, it was only 2 reporters. Yes, it was only 2 reporters. Who cares if it was only 2 reporters, though, right? What are you saying by saying that? We're getting whooped out on the field. It's okay. I'm happy that those 2 reporters were there so we can get some coverage. How many times in the past we haven't had no one covering this team? Well, again, this is a program. So we take a program that says, and we will always be told, like, y'all ain't Alabama, y'all ain't Auburn, right? Who cares about UAB? And then so you got these people that held on, fought, proved that they can be successful by fighting, by taking on that identity. And then just to all of a sudden, just to be like, it's only 2 people, this ain't Alabama. You're like, wait. You can't take what makes us and use it like, don't think too highly of yourself. So the people on the outside, they're kind of like, you're not Alabama. You think out of all people, we know we're not Alabama, duh. Like, we've been told that we're not, and we don't want to be Alabama. We are UAB, though. That's like telling me, if I'm saying, like, I'll fight back if somebody tried to fight me, and somebody like, you're not Mike Tyson. Duh, I'm not Mike Tyson. I'm Darian Smith. I got pride. I might get knocked out, but I'm gonna fight back, right? I might win. I might not. But just because I'm not Mike Tyson doesn't mean I shouldn't fight for myself. Like make it make sense. So again, it's just a sense of pride, rightfully, that we have. No program wants to be belittled. UCF doesn't want to be belittled by Florida State comparisons or Florida comparisons. You don't belittle UTSA. You're not Texas. You're not Texas A&M. Who would? No one wants to be belittled. Everybody has pride in their program that they fight for, that they pay to visit these game season tickets. You honor those people. You align yourself with those people. Be happy the reporters are there because they're covering you. And then we'll come out of it together, but you can't start segmenting off part of the fan base like that. And that's true. Like I would stick by that no matter what, because I've been part of this, and we all been a part of this history. That's why that was a dig, at your own as a head coach. You can't, and I know he probably didn't mean it like that. He didn't think of all of that, but that's what those little words, that's what it represented. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's why when you ask, are you aware of the history? It's kind of like you must not be, because if so, you wouldn't say that. So just to put a bow on it, that's just how I feel about it, and that's why it was. I just wanted to explain why it would come off that way, and but yeah, we're not being clickbaitish. We want to be done with it, and we want to get back to the meat and bones of everything.
Yeah, I just want to comment too on somewhat of an obligation for John as a reporter when he's seeing so much conversation about a particular topic, and there are so many fans that don't have media credentials and the opportunity to actually ask the question in a forum in which there would be a response. John was that voice for those people. And if you don't believe there was people that wanted that question asked, then you weren't looking very hard. There was so much conversation. There was on the initial post-game presser for Navy, the video of the comments made by Coach Dilfer before we even got to the weekly presser had well over 1 million impressions on X alone. There was TikTok videos, and you can even go to Facebook and message boards, which, but it went beyond that. It went beyond the vocal few that may or may not have been offended by the comment, and it stretched a reach that was worth addressing. And so I appreciate John serving as that voice for the people that cannot be in that room to ask the question and feel helpless and want it to be asked. So thank you, John, again for that. And just from a history standpoint, UAB has been little brothered by Alabama forever. I used to be, I'm still sensitive now. I used to be a lot more sensitive, in particular to Alabama growing up, because of all the comments that I thought were unnecessary. You can't go to a single positive UAB post anywhere without there being an immediate reaction from someone. It doesn't take very long to click and you see in their bio, Roll Tide. And it's like, UAB should just shut their program down again. Oh, the 50 fans, there's no one even at their games. Like, just completely unnecessary comments on every single post that are related to UAB forever. And so that little brother mentality and stuff, it just builds up over time. Like, why do you care? Like, why do you care that we're passionate? Why can't we have a program, but these other, institutions can? Why don't you care about them? So it's always just been this like weird dynamic. And at the end of the day, going beyond that, it's just this constant, headwind that UAB has faced as it relates to support. This concept that UAB is unique in the expectation well before NIL was introduced that the UAB fans must essentially finance this athletic department. That, again, that UAB must win before they're given facilities and money. And in a lot of other situations where other programs are able to start off with facilities and start off with finance and that type of backing. But for UAB, it seems like it's always been the opposite. Even though a program like UAB, showed signs of improvement, went on the road and beat an LSU and was competitive in some elements despite all of that headwind and those external pressures and the lack of support from the administration. The fact that, that for a UAB athletic administration that they have to get a stamp of approval from a board of trustees that's largely not represented from people that attended the University of Alabama at Birmingham UAB. So, I mean, you could just go on and on and on. But, that's why I think that people took offense to said comment. And I completely understand why they did. And just my last thought on it is I think I was texting, I don't know if it was John or both of y'all this morning. I think that ultimately a large percentage of that group of people internally, if you will, on the UAB side, I think would have gotten past the comment and just started to be just pissed off about losing again if it would have been addressed in a different way at the weekly presser. And that would have included me. I would have loved to let's just start talking about why we're 1-3 again. And can we win against Tulane? But since it wasn't addressed, here we are again. And I think the conversation is just going to get worse unless UAB starts to win. And that's unfortunate. So again, I'm at the point where I know it's not going to be addressed now. There's been plenty of opportunities. It will not be addressed. We're the only ones still talking about it. That's fine. I just wish it would have been addressed. And I'll end with this, is that nothing's going to change as it relates to our coverage, whether media credentials are there or not, which we still have media credentials. But even if they were to be taken away, we'd still be rocking and rolling, doing our same thing. We love UAB. We wouldn't do this if we didn't love UAB. So we're going to continue talking about UAB as much as you guys will have us. We appreciate every single one of you, the level of support that you give us. Click that like, subscribe button, if you will, at this moment. Show us a sign of support, and nothing's going to change. Y'all keep rocking it with us. We're going to be here, win, loss, or indifferent. Let's move on. Let's talk about Tulane.
Yeah. And Jimmy, you talked about reach. I know for a fact that some of that stuff did reach its own players, right? So it's not just fans. It's like the perception that you give your team in those moments. And then there's also, and this is not a shot. This is just reality. But, I mean, Trent did come from high school. So sometimes people can perceive, it's kind of like, hey, dude, you're losing. You've had a losing season last year. You had a losing season this year. So if you make a comment like that, people are going to go back to, we should never hire a high school coach anyway. You think you're God's gift to the university, and we gave you your opportunity, right? That's how fans will take it. And then if you look at it if you look at it that way, I mean, you really don't have a leg to stand on. It's like, well, that is true, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want that to be the conversation. We really just want to give this staff, no matter what goes on, we want to try to support who's ever in charge. This staff, the previous staff, the staff that's going to be after this staff, whenever that is, we want to support them 100%. So, of course, we're just trying to address it, and then we're trying to move on from it and try to go back to just supporting 100% because that's what's best for these players in this university.
Yeah, 100%. And just two quick things wrapping this all up and moving on to Tulane. Number one, if there was an agenda and we wanted clickbait, I would have said my name and affiliation when I asked that question. You look all around, I think it's AL.com, Yahoo, The Reporter. Like, I ain't looking to get anything out of this. And number one, we appreciate here at BVP, like Jimmy said, all the positive feedback, positive support for me and for us that you all have given. That means the world to us. I could have gotten upset. I could have got really upset when Trent said, "Were you there?" And there has been countless times over the past 2 seasons since he's been coach that I've taken time off of my real job, used my own gas money to go there every week to cover this team. And there was only 1 or 2 people there at all times with me.
Oh, yeah. How much is UAB paying you, John? I forgot.
$0.
Oh,
Zero.
okay.
We do this for free. Yeah. We do this for free for the love of UAB athletics. And let me just be clear. I'm not upset at Trent Dilfer. Again, I tried to, and I know I'm 99.9% sure Trent Dilfer will not listen to this episode. because I don't think he cares about, what media say or what people write about him, and that's fine. In fact,
He
that's
said he
kind of,
doesn't care.
well, yeah, and in
Like, I
fact,
mean, he
that's
said
kind
he
of,
doesn't care.
yeah, in fact, that can be taken a positive. He really, he's doing what he thinks best, and that's fine. But the second thing, and I just want to reiterate the free coverage and what we do at Blazer Victory Podcast, what we've been doing for 5 seasons for the love of UAB. And the second thing is we are behind Trent Dilfer. Let's get a win against Tulane. Let's right this ship. Like I said, the past episode, I'm going to be at West Point the next week at Army. I'm going to still be at Memphis in November, spending, again, my hard-earned money, my family's hard-earned money, and taking these trips because we support this UAB football program.
Let's go.
So all that being said, Tulane comes into Protective Stadium this Saturday at 12 o'clock. Broadcast is on ESPN Plus. Hope that you'll join me at Protective Stadium and go into this ball game and supporting this team. Tulane, heavy favorites. Like we said earlier, it's creeping 15-point. Tulane is creeping a 15-point favorite in Birmingham over UAB. We know this is a damn good football team. They just whooped up on South Florida 45-10. They've got Mekhi Hughes at running back, Darian Mensah at quarterback. Very talented line play on both sides of the ball. But before we kind of get into the X's and O's, I did want to give a quick shout out. I did an interview with Jack from the Uptown Update on our Patreon, patreon.com/blazerpod. That's bonus content. If you want it, $5 a month or join annually to save 10% off of that. Really good discussion. Tulane is playing really good football coming in this Saturday. I guess let's throw it to Darian because we are going to make this quick. Darian, what's Tulane doing well? What does Tulane do well?
Well, of course, Tulane has an identity. That's the main thing. Tulane, shout out again, join Patreon. John does he does excellent interviews with the opposing teams, like another podcast or information source from the team, and you get a lot of good inside nuggets. And so you kind of focus on you can kind of have a starting point and go from there and with the research. But the one thing that did hurt was like knowing that their all-time highest recruit was like Jaden Lewis from Birmingham. Yeah, I know that, and I know that probably had something to do with John Summerall coming from Troy going to Tulane, but that still is like, dang, But anyway, a cornerback, so watch out for him. And then, of course, Mekhi Hughes coming from Birmingham also. But they have an identity. They can do multiple things, and they can be disciplined in that, but they can really grind you down with the run. It's like they play like a P14, right? They almost play like think of a mini Big Ten team or something like that. They can grind you down with the run. They have good O-line play. Like, I love their O-line, offensive line and defensive line. They're deep on the defensive line. They have experience. Tyler Grubbs, linebacker. They have experience in their defensive backfield. So they're just like a solid team. They kind of almost remind you of Memphis and just being like a solid team that can do multiple things. And I believe they have a better defense than Memphis does. So I think, and it kind of scares me, like with Navy, you can threaten us, you can run the ball against us, then it's play action. We're susceptible to it, right? We can be bombed on. We showed that. But it's what really, and I'm gonna pass it over. The things that I'm gonna be looking for, I realize, are the turnover battle, explosive plays, penalties, and sacks and negative plays. What UAB can do, so this game is going to be way more about UAB and what we do. I'm not even worried about the outcome anymore. How many negative plays? We can put drives together, but we killed our drives. Look at Navy, look at anybody The only time we were consistent this year, really, was against Arkansas. We didn't give up. We won. We didn't give up those sacks. That's why we had a chance to win that game, even though we was out talented and out coached, experienced. We won because we didn't really give up sacks. We didn't really have that many negative plays. We didn't turn the ball over, right? And that was probably like the least penalties we had. It was still like 9, something like that. But that's like the least penalties we've had all year, which is crazy, you know. But we limited explosives, right? The best that we could anyway. If you go back to that Navy game, we did the opposite. We got sacked. We turned the ball over. We got explosive, like it wasn't nothing, right? We got explosive plays put on us. We had negative plays, and we had so many penalties. So now I'm just looking at those hard line stats. Like, can we? Because I believe negative plays and penalties kill your ability to sustain drives. So if we're not going to be an explosive team, we have to be a grinded out kind of, we can move a team. But in order to do that, in order to grind it out, we can't get penalized and we can't take negative plays. You can't turn the ball over if you're going to grind it out. So what the data is showing me, just like sticks, just don't break against UAB. Sooner or later, we're going to get them on a negative play. Sooner or later, they're going to turn the ball over. Just they'll get a first down, they'll get 2-3 first downs in the drive, but they can't sustain. They won't get any negative play. I mean, they won't get any explosives. Don't worry about that, right? Don't worry about that. So it's kind of like we have to prove that we can do one of the two: be explosive or be sustainable. And I believe those statistics will show if we can do either or. But either way, we have to establish an identity, because I don't know in 2024, I don't know what gender we are. I don't know what sex we are. I don't know anything about UAB football. We just moving around. Like we don't have any kind of identity. We need something, man.
Oh man, totally agree. Just to kind of give some oversight, offense and defense for Tulane quick. So on the offensive side, things I noticed is that Tulane is excellent on third down. They're converting at 50% in third down. As Darian spoke to, they're committed to the run game. They're also effective through the air. So they're essentially a 60-40 run pass team. And when they do throw, they've got some explosive plays. We'll talk about the receivers here in a moment. One similarity between UAB and Tulane overall is penalties have been an issue for Tulane. So they're averaging close to 8 penalties for 70 penalty yards per game. And they're also doing well with time of possession, largely due to their success around the ball. Darian Mensah, I don't know if we brought his name up. He's the guy at quarterback for them, kind of a surprise starter, redshirt freshman. He's passed for over 1,100 yards this year, 9 touchdowns. He's protected the ball, so only 2 picks, which is good. He's number 11 in the country in average yards per completion. Again, we'll talk about receivers here in a moment. He's top 25 in the country in passer rating. Darian hit on Mekhi Hughes, Birmingham native at running back. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. He's top 20 in the country in total rushing yards, so they're going to lean on him heavy, especially with his homecoming to Birmingham. I want to talk about those Tulane receivers. So Tulane has 3 receivers with at least 10 receptions that are averaging 15 or more yards per reception. In comparison, UAB's got 3 receivers with at least 10 receptions, but none of which are averaging more than 10 yards per reception. So they're getting the ball down the field. They're vertical. Mario Williams, I believe Darian had mentioned his name, 18.5 yards per reception, 2 scores. He's top 25 in the country in receiving yards. He's a beast, came in via the transfer portal. So they're going to do a lot of good things offensively. They're physical. On the defensive side, they have Sumrall. So they've taken the personality of Sumrall, who was at Kentucky before Troy, came into Troy, and I mean, just legit from the start, like just won a lot, and got the bag to go to Tulane. I think he's over $3 million a year there. Defensively, I think they've been good, not great. I think it was against ULL. They allowed over 400 total yards. I think ULL had 33-ish points, somewhere around there. But I think that's going to improve over time. They do get after the quarterback, which is obviously a concern. So Patrick Jenkins is a guy to watch in the defensive line. He was at TCU before he went to Tulane. He's in his third season there. He's been okay statistically, but he hasn't broken out. I think he had one of his better games against UAB this past year. He had 5.5 sacks in 2023, but I think he's got 2 in the season thus far. And Darian mentioned Tyler Grubbs. I was looking at that guy. He actually started out at La Tech. So this is a guy that's played UAB several times. I think he played UAB twice at La Tech. And then he also played UAB this past season at Tulane. So he's familiar with UAB. That dude has 355 career total tackles. Is that insane? I think he's in his 5th year because of the COVID year. And as a true freshman, they get 90-something tackles for La Tech, which is just insane. So he's going to be all over the field. But I know we want to do something quick. So one thing I wanted just to mention was Tulane. They're in a stretch right now. They're 3-2, but they've played 2 P4 opponents in which they were competitive. One of those games against Kansas State they could have easily won. But they're in this stretch right now. They've got at UAB, at home against Rice, at North Texas, at Charlotte, and Temple. They're going to be favored, heavy favorites in all 5 of those games. You're going to blink an eye, this Tulane team's going to be right back at 8-2 likely, and really making some noise in the AAC. Hopefully UAB can disrupt that. And speaking of that, I wanted to give a shout out to Stephen Chappell, who is one of our Patreon supporters, and he had a question that he put in our Patreon community chat, and he said, is there legitimately any chance UAB can win this game? I think that's on people's minds this week. If we're even going to give a prediction, I can, but outside of just the prediction, I want to share some statistics. Tulane is 11-1 in their last 12 true road games. So they were 5-0 in 2022, 5-0 in 2023. They're 1-1 this season, that one loss being at Oklahoma. They're 17-2 in their last 19 conference games. So in 2022, they were 8-1. They were 8-1 this past season. Now they're 1-0 this season. And Tulane this season is 4-1 against the spread. So John mentioned that spread. I think it's at 14.5 currently. It's going to be, this is a game in which Darian touched on it, is more about how UAB looks, how they respond, how they build upon that identity and establishing that. Can UAB win this game? Sure, because UAB, and not just UAB, teams have upsets all the time. But if UAB were to win this game, it would be undoubtedly an upset. UAB has not been a double-digit home underdog dating back to the year 2014 against Marshall, in which they were a 17.5-point dog in that game. And by the way, UAB had the ball in that final possession. Jordan Howard and the Wildcat, 4th down. They didn't convert, but they were driving down the field and had a chance to win that ball game. So as a point, UAB can win this ball game. How they win this ball game, we don't even have time to get into that. We're not going to get into that. Can they win it? Yes. If they win it, it will be something short of monumental, but it would be certainly a surprise.
100%. And we got to wrap. And so we are not going to give an official score prediction each, but all 3 of us are rooting for UAB to get this upset Saturday. And let's turn this ship around. Let's right this ship. You get a win Saturday, kind of put all the off-field noise kind of to bed, get some momentum. Maybe they can win Saturday. Maybe they can get their first road win at West Point and Army 2 weeks from now. We'll just see what it is. We'll see what happens. But Darian, you want to close us out until we give our Tulane game recap in a few days?
Yep. Pay attention to those turnovers. Pay attention to those negative plays and explosive plays. The only way we'll win if we win those statistics. So will we win them? You have to tune in to find out on the next Dragon Ball. No. Go Blazers, everybody.
Everybody just blaze.